another webinar from 99x Technology. Today we are going to talk about Visual Studio App Center for React Native. I am Guruparan Girtharan. I work as an associate tech lead for 99x Technology, and I have over 7 years of experience in software engineering.
Hi guys, I am Dylan Vijayanayaka. I am also working as an associate tech lead in 99x Technology. I also have more than 7 years experience in software industry.
All right, before we begin, if you have any questions, you can type it in our chat and we'll answer those in the Q&A section. So today we are going to talk about Visual Studio App Center for React Native. So let's go on with the agenda. So if we take the agenda for today, we have arranged it in the same way where you use these features in your application lifecycle. So let's say we begin with the introduction as usual, and then we move on to the application features which you can use in your application. And then we move on to the features like once you develop your application, like features like build and test, like how you can use and utilize these features in your application. And then we move on to analytics and crashes, like once you deploy your application or release your application to the store, how you can use the analytics features and the crashes feature of App Center to monitor your application and have a look at the analytics. And then we move on to the deployment and patching section. The deployment of course comes with the build and test, but you can use it to release the app to the stores. And also the patching option, where we use something called the code push feature of App Center, which you can use to do patches of the application. And then we move on to the Q&A section where we allow you to ask questions. So let's start on with the introduction. Dylan?
Okay, Visual Studio App Center is a cloud-based solution offered by Microsoft, which integrates multiple services used by developers today. It also allows a next generation of distribution, cache reporting and analytics, and push notifications, and ability to build, test, and push all in one platform. It also supports platforms like Java, Objective-C, Xamarin, and Cordova, even React Native. In order to use App Center, you have to first log into the App Center. To do that, App Center support several identity options like GitHub, and also you can use your social media accounts and also Google-based authentication providers. Once log in, you have to create an app inside the App Center in order to use all the features available. Unfortunately, this is not 100% free, but Microsoft do offer both free tier and paid tier options built through Azure subscription. Free tier includes some limitations, but it can be used, and it has limited build minutes per month with some other useful features.
All right, so let's move into the application features. So these are the features that you can use in your application. So let's say you start building an application, you need like some of the basic features. Let's say authentication, you need a place to store all the data, and you need features like push notification. So let's start on with authentication. So authentication is something very required today, like because like any app, it requires an authentication, and you might need features like connecting it to the Facebook authentication or use features like Google authentication. So for these things, you can use the authentication feature, and this is powered by Azure Active Directory. So you need a Azure subscription for this. So this again is not free. So you'll have to go for a paid version of Azure and do these things. So authentication is like that, where you can use Azure AD and do the authentication of your application. Then of course the data storage. So most of the applications today, like you might use a feature like an API, and you do call to the database and store data in the database. So this thing, we can use it directly to store data in Azure Cosmos DB. Again, this is a paid thing where you have to do the payment at Azure, and you can use your same account and connect App Center and Azure Cosmos DB and do the data storage. So again, the next feature will be push notifications. So push notifications, like when it comes to Android, you'll have to use Firebase. So Fire, just like all the other things, you'll have to use the Firebase cloud messaging feature to use this. But the notifications, it comes as a npm package, and you just have to install it. But you'll have to do some configuration when it comes to using these features like authentication, data storage, and push notifications. So again, like when it comes to Apple, you'll have to use Apple push notifications. Like these things will be linked to App Center, and it will be connected via App Center. So it will be very easy for you. Like you just have to log into the App Center management place, and you can do those things. And also it supports the APIs, like it provides you APIs where you can call these things from your application. So it will be very easy to integrate and work with it. Also, like it comes with extra options like when it comes to push notifications, it's free, but you can, if you want to do some advanced scenarios, like Microsoft has a partnership with OneSignal, so you can use those features. But OneSignal, it will be a paid thing again. You'll have to go with a paid version and then do those things. So those are the features that you can use in your application. So these things, again, you might have to do some setup, and most of these are still in preview, but they say that you can use it in apps like on a daily basis. So let's move on to the build features of App Center.
Okay, build features. In order to use build features, you have to first link your repository to the created app inside the App Center. Then you can directly download, create and download downloadable app package even for iOS directly using app Center. So you don't want to maintain local build servers, and you don't have to worry about their complex configurations. So it can be even configured to create app packages for every commit you are doing. So it's easy to maintain versions. And when it comes to distribution of the app, so to get it tested through a beta tester, so it's really easy by creating a distribution group. So what we have to do is just create a distribution group and add the testers there. So then you can share whatever the version you can with beta testers. Then testers can give valuable feedback.
All right. So before we move on to the test, we'll do a short demo on App Center. Let's say, so when you go log into App Center, you'll be taken to the home screen. I'm sure you can see my screen right now. So if you have created applications, it will be listed here, or else you can go and use the add new application option where you have to provide an app name. And when it comes to App Center, you have to create two applications when it comes to React Native, because App Center manages the iOS and Android version separately. So the crashes or the other features, there'll be two things. So I have created a sample movie app, and so you can use this feature and create the app. Let's go to the Android version of it. So when you go to open the Android app, so you'll be having this screen where it will be saying how to configure your application. So what are the things that you need to do to integrate App Center to your React Native application. So it's very straightforward. You just have to install the npm packages, and then you will have to do add a new file in the assets folder, and you can just put the secret, and that's it. Like then from that point onwards, the analytics will start working. But for events and stuff, you might have to do some changes at code level, like not exactly changes, like it will be like wherever you need to log an event, you'll have to put a code in the code. So, and let's go to the build feature, and okay, let's wait till that loads. So this will be, you can connect to any repository out there like Bitbucket or GitHub. Here I have created a sample React Native project in my GitHub repo, and I have connected that here. So these are the branches that are in the GitHub repository. Let's say you want to build this branch, you can have the features you can see all the builds here. Like you can directly, if you go to the settings, you can do things like bundling the app. Also, you can do linting. If you have linting enabled in your source code, you can do checks here as well. Also, you can use environmental variables. Also, you have features like signing the bills. Like if you have everything in your Gradle files, then that is also possible, or else you can upload the builds here and do it as well. So those features are also there. Once the builds are done, you can simply open a build and you can download the build, or you have the option to distribute it from here as well. So if you have set up the distribution groups and all, you can do that from here directly. Like the testers will be getting an email and those features will be there. Let's say you are not using the build feature from here, you can also upload the APK directly to this one and share it with the users. So let's move on to the test features, Dylan.
Okay, once the build is done, it's critical to perform UI testing on real devices, but it's almost impossible to do test on all the real devices available in the market today. So for that, Visual Studio App Center maintains over thousands of real devices with many unique configurations. So you can test your app in devices available in the App Center. And also you can write test in Appium, Calibrash and Espresso, even in Xamarin UI test. Once the test is done, you can view detailed report in easy to read a dashboard, so you can view all the details there. And if something fails, you can even view device logs, test features, failure logs, so to get more and more information about the failure. Unfortunately, this is not free, but Microsoft do offer 30-day free trial for one device and with unlimited device hours.
All right, so let's go to the analytics and crashes section. So when it comes to building an application, so you need to know how the users are using our application, like how like day to day, what are they doing with the application. Like there's no point of creating an application, and if the users are not using the application or not using the features of the application, there's no point of releasing an application. So when it comes to analytics and crashes, App Center provides these features and you can use them and see how your users are using. So the integration is very straightforward. Just like I mentioned, you just have to install the NPM packages and you're good to go. And of course you have to do the configuration where it points which application which belongs to, like it's basically the connection between App Center and your application. So let's say the analytics feature. So we can see or track like how long the users are using the application, what are the devices they are using the application, what are the versions of the application users are using. Those things can be tracked from here. And when it comes to tracking custom events, let's say you want to know like how many people have used a feature or pressed a button. So those things can be tracked from here. Let's say most of the React Native developers, they come from web development or basically React Native development. So most of them are used to using Google Analytics. So something like that is possible with analytics, where you can see how your users are using your application, or you can do custom event tracking as well. So then of course the crashes and logs. So let's say you have a crash in your application. So after you ship it, it's not going to be easy to track. Let's say in development phase, of course, you can see the debug things and you can have a look at what's going on with your application. But when it comes to a production application, of course, Google, you can have a look at the crashes. But if you want a detailed crash, or you want to see what's the exception that's thrown by the application, so those things App Center provides. So whenever there's a crash, what App Center does is the next time they open the application, it will just log that crash to the App Center, and the users or the developers can go and have a look on what has gone wrong. So let's have a look at these things in the web. Let's go back to analytics. So when you open analytics, you can see, so this is my sample app that I'm using. You can see that how the usage has increased after this date, which of course the date that I created the application, and then you can see the daily session count. So let's say if no one is using the app on the specific date, it will not be visible. And the duration, like how long they are using the application. These things are very important when it comes to developers on like how people are using the application. And of course, you can track the countries or the languages of the devices. So let's say you want to target more countries or more markets, you can have a look at these and get an idea of like what are the markets that you need to see, and also the devices, what are the devices that the users are using to use our application. So if you are having especially this helps in testing, where if you are having any UI issues and all, you can have a look at these devices, because these are the users, end users of your application. Also, like if there are multiple versions of the application, this will also be listed here. So you can see the adoption of different versions of your application from here. And then we can move on to events. So these are, you can track the events. You just have to put analytics.log or something like that, and everything will be tracked here. And I have done some tracking on the home page is loaded and the search is initiated and stuff like that. So let's say you go to this event, so you can see the event occurrence on multiple days. And also when you open the search, I have done some custom properties, like how many people have searched, like what basically the people are searching, like metrics. And so you can see the occurrence and also the trends and the users who are actually searching. But if you're going to track at users, like it's not a good idea to have a mapping between users, because it might be a violation on GDPR, and it will be a problem. So you can also opt, let's say if you want the user to choose to like analytics or not, you can also turn off that the event logging and all. So that feature is also available. So when you go to diagnostics, the crashes will be here. So you can see different exceptions. So this will be a simple error that I have thrown. So the error message will be there. You can have a high, when it comes to React Native, you can add a high order component and log the exception and then let the app crash, so that the actual JavaScript error will be here rather than the Java or the Swift issue. So it's easy for you to do those trackings and fix those things. Even it shows the version and how many people have been affected by this crash, so that you can get an idea. Also the devices are also there. So those are the features when it comes to crashes. So let's move on with the presentation. Deployment and patching.
Okay, when it comes to deployment, App Center Distribute is a very cool feature available in App Center, where developers can quickly release their builds to end users' devices, which supports Android, iOS, macOS, and many more platforms. You can even configure it to automatically submit your app release to TestFlight, even Apple App Store and Google Play. So you don't have to worry about manually submitting your app into the public app stores. When it comes to patching, Code Push is a very cool feature where developers can address small bug fixes and small feature improvements, where developers can directly push their changes into end users devices without going through distributing through public app stores, which involve time consuming review process. So Guru.
All right. So when it comes to code push, we all know how React Native works. So we just create the JavaScript bundle, and it will be distributed along with the APK or the iOS package. So from there, we won't have any control. Let's say you have done the release and you find an issue the next day, it won't be possible to go through the whole review process and do a submission. That's one of the main issues we face. Like let's say you have a big burning issue and you have a fix, but you need to have a patch for that. It's not going to be easy when it comes to releasing it for the mobile stores. So code push is a feature where you can basically update your JavaScript bundle from like without going through the stores. So let's say if you have any changes at Java or like iOS Swift level, it won't be possible because you can't do any changes to that. But the JavaScript bundle of your application, you can update from here itself. It's very easy. So I have a small demo on that as well. Okay, so when you go to distribute, you have the code push feature here, and so this is a basically simple command that you need to run, and code push is it's shown here. Like, let's say you have multiple environments, so multiple versions of your application. Let's say you have a test version that you give it to the QA team, and once you go production, it will be the production team. So you'll have to have two instances, or basically two separate APKs with different configuration. Let's say then you can point it to one of those things. So code push, how it works is you will have to push your changes or the new JavaScript bundle to a specific version of your application. So here you can see this is the target version, this is the deployment of your application, and whether this specific code push is enabled, you can also disable that. So those features are there. So when it again comes to code push, you can let the user decide as well. You can have a small pop-up saying that there's an update on the application and whether you want to update that or not, or you can do a silent update without, whenever user puts the app to background and bring it to foreground, it will be updated. So those features are there. So once let's say you do the patch to your test instance, and if everything is okay, you just have to go and promote it to production, and it will be live to the production instance. You won't have to do then your package, you don't have to test it again. So basically, if your JavaScript is all good, you can do a promotion to the production environment. So let's get on with the presentation. I think that brings us to the end. So if you have any questions, it's your time. So we'll be happy to answer those things. So seems like we don't have any questions. So I think we can conclude the presentation. So thank you all for joining, and we hope that you learned something today, and you will be utilizing the App Center in your upcoming application or your current application. So hope to see you all on the next webinar. Thank you.